Georgia inches closer to fighting Vanderbilt on Saturday night. Dean Legge, Dylan Webber. A hurricane is barreling towards Florida right now, Dylan. Is it possible that you saw... Well, I guess practice was canceled today. I was going to make a hurricane reference at practice, but it was canceled. Was there an explanation as to why? Or not canceled, but closed.
Closed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What was the explanation for
Yeah.
that, if any?
None. I just don't think Kirby wanted it there. And that's fine. That's kind of typical of Wednesdays, I think, at this point.
Is that they're just going to be...
Yeah, they're just going to, I think, close it off most Wednesdays. But they still have player availabilities, which is good.
Well, what did you learn tonight at practice? Well, post-practice, I guess you could say. You had what? Monty Rice was not there yesterday. He was there today, though.
Yeah, we had Monty Rice. And, he kind of just opened up about not being able to play at the end of the year last year in that Alabama game and against Texas, which, for a guy like him and anyone who makes it this far in their football career, I mean, that's hard. I mean, those are two huge games that any player who likes to play football and compete wants to play in, and especially a guy at his level. I mean, particularly
the SEC championship game.
Yeah, because I mean that game was crucial, and I mean I would go as far as say he is their best middle linebacker, and to not be a part of that game, I mean that sucks. And so I mean he opened up about that, and he's a really calm guy. It's not really what you expect for someone who's supposed to go out there and just hit the shit out of people.
Yeah.
But I mean he's incredibly calm and was really laid back about that and said, yeah, he was disappointed, but there's nothing he could do. It's just a part of the game. But he did clarify that he's feeling way better compared to last year. And apparently that foot injury was kind of a thing for a while. He said even before the UMass game when it was originally kind of in those warm-ups when it was discovered.
Right. Yeah, that was that night. I mean, that was a night game with UMass, and all of a sudden, he was a captain for that game, I think.
Yeah.
And he came out and he couldn't go at all, I guess. And it was, and then you're saying, well, all right, it's the UMass game. Maybe they're just holding him out, no big deal. And then, of course, it became pretty serious soon thereafter because he didn't play against Tech. And it became pretty clear at that point, this guy's got an issue. I don't know. I mean, I think, generally speaking, all these, you got to talk to Andrew Thomas and Solomon Kinley today. I think they were both sort of ready to play. That seems to be the overall thing.
Yeah, and they all kind of, it seems unanimous at this point that you can't really learn much more from practice. At some point, you got to go into a game and then see what's wrong there. Because, I mean, they've just gotten practice down. They're doing everything the way, they're supposed to in practice. But games reveal so much more.
Totally.
When, hundreds of thousands of people are watching all around the country and, you turn the ball over, you learn then how you respond to that. And you can't get that from practice.
Yeah, because it's not the same as, as missing a free throw in practice is not the same as missing a free throw during the game. And, for you need to understand how to bounce back from that. I guess is what I'm trying to say. Solomon Kinley have anything interesting to say?
One of the interesting points today was the cookies that it can't be clear if it was Jake Fromm's mom or his grandma that they bake if Jake doesn't get sacked in the game.
Oh boy!
They bake them and then give them to Jake, and then Jake will bring them into practice. And there's some fruit cookies. Andrew Thomas said with icing on it, and he said they don't last 5 minutes. He said he usually has about 4 or 5 of them himself. That's probably the most interesting point.
4 or 5 himself?
Yeah.
Jeez.
He's a big man.
Hey, look, 4 or 5. I mean, I'm about eating cookies. Have you ever had any cookies I make?
No, what the fuck? You make cookies?
Yeah. I make cookies often. I didn't know that you had not yet had them. I will get you some here at some point. But I didn't know that. I didn't know that Fromm's mom has started doing that. That's actually, that would be. I don't know if that would be extra motivation for me. I sure be thinking about that right after the game though.
Yeah, for sure. That's a big bonus.
What's your favorite cookie?
I don't know. The way he sold these fruit cookies, it makes me want to say they're my favorite already, and I've never had them. But I mean, honestly, I like chocolate chip, freshly made chocolate chip with milk.
It's hard not to you can screw up chocolate chip. You can, because
Sure.
if you overcook any cookie, it's just not going to be good. You don't want a crispy cookie unless it's one of these sort of European style, I guess you could say, cookies. But
But who wants European style? I want
well, if
American
it's
cookies.
you sound like a moron right now. But
I sound like Matt DeBerry.
well, that too. But if it's a good, I don't care where the cookie's made. But a fruit cookie, I mean, my grandmother used to make these modified. I don't think they were fruit cookies. I think they were meant to be fruit-like cookies. I'd have to go find them and look at them. They were good though. She would pack them up and mail them to us. They were pretty good, but they were hard cookies with fruit, kind of whatever they were in the middle. Those were solid. All right, back to football. You know this.
I mean, this fits in the football realm.
Well, if you don't like
If we talk,
cookies, listen. If you don't like discussion of cookies, just don't listen. Or food. We're about food, football, cookies. Cookies are unbelievable things. This game now is, I mean, it's not the biggest game of the weekend, but I do wonder with that hurricane, in all seriousness, is this going to be a game that gets bumped up to ESPN maybe because some of the games in Florida, the Florida State Boise State game, I think is in serious jeopardy of not being played. Now we'll just have to see.
I mean, how bad is the hurricane right now? Is it still a tropical storm?
It's a Category 1 right now. So
Okay.
I mean, a hurricane's a hurricane, and it's not so much the hurricane wind and so forth that's so bad. It's the water that comes from the hurricanes. Georgia clearly, when going to Nashville, is going to steer clear of that completely. But it is interesting to see. You know, would they move Georgia? You know, the Georgia game from the SEC network up to the Boise, in place of Boise State, Florida State. That game kicks off at 7:00 as well. So is Georgia Vandy 7:00 or is it 7:30?
7:30, I believe.
Okay.
6:30 local.
They could adjust it some.
Yeah, it's a little bit of leeway.
So was Monty? I mean, did Monty? He's not played since the Auburn game, I guess.
Yeah, because he didn't play in that UMass game.
That's a lot of working out for not playing.
Yeah, and he said the foot injury was there beforehand because he said it had been bothering him for a little bit. He didn't specify how long. But he said, you know, he felt it in that UMass warm up, and then it just got to at some point during a tackling drill, it just got to the point where he couldn't walk on it.
I wonder what the actual injury was.
I'm not exactly.
They never
sure.
say, you know.
Was it a broken foot?
I don't know.
That's the only thing I can imagine because it was a foot injury.
Yeah.
I can't really imagine something else that would keep him out for.
I mean, if you can't move around, then you can forget it. Particularly as a middle linebacker, needless to say.
Yeah, and I mean, all these players deal with slight injuries through the year.
Yeah,
it's just a part of the game. But it's just a matter. Yeah, if you can't move, you can't move. You got to be able to move in football.
Yeah.
Especially at middle linebacker. So I mean, he was fighting through it for a little bit, but once again, he says he's good now. He says he feels better right now than he did at any point last year.
At any point last year?
Yeah.
Well, I don't know what I mean. Monty Rice has been a very good player for a long time. You could just see on his, when he. It's like there's. Can you hear that in the background? It's like, it's almost as if the screaming at my house is never ending. Monty. No, Monty was a very good player. You could see that from the get-go with his film and so forth. But even still, just to it's not surprising that he had become so good and so productive for Georgia. He really has become a very good player for the Dogs, and getting him back out there, particularly with Tay Crowder is not the physical being that Monty is, but I know that Kirby and them, if they had their way, would like bulky guys out there. Of course you would, and
Yeah.
Tay is a fast guy. The one thing about and Tay, by the way, Tay Crowder has gotten a hold of something, and he's not going to give it up. The other thing that people consistently say to me that have watched this team practice, this defense, is how fast they are. Like, they're very sudden to the ball. They're very quick to get where they got to go, and that is something I am going to be very curious to see how. Because this running back at Vanderbilt is legit. I mean, he's a good running back. He's a guy that Georgia will have to deal with. But I want to see. I want to see how fast they are. Well,
Georgia has the speed to match that, I would think.
I think they do. And Nakobe, I'm assuming, is going to be out there as well. I mean, you're just to the point now where there's not a lot of T's to cross and I's to dot. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, we know as much as we know right now. And once again, us, and likewise with the team, can't figure out much more until they play a game.
Yeah. Yeah. And
we've exhausted almost every point possible at this point.
Well, and yet people are still clamoring for, what's going to happen, this, that, and the other. The one thing I can't seem to avoid is this consistent discussion about the Chick-fil-A Popeye war. The chicken war amongst my text chains. Everyone's talking about that nonstop. It's gotten that bad out there that we're fighting about chicken sandwiches.
No player was asked about that. That's a shame. We'll never know their opinion.
We really need to start football. That's how bad it's gotten. We're talking about that.
The sandwich is pretty good.
I'm sure it is.
I can't comment on it. I've never had it. Chick-fil-A sandwich is really good. Don't get me wrong.
So Kirby today during the teleconference said that most of the time practice is a good indicator of how we're going to play. He said, "I've seen guys that have had some anxiety and made some mistakes and do some good things you might not have seen in camp, but you rarely see players stand out that haven't stood out in practice." I think that's right. I think it's just so rare that a guy, and this just comes from his experience playing in college too. It's not common for someone to do something if they don't do it during practice. The likelihood of them doing it during the game is just low.
Yeah,
that's why people are talking about Tyreek Stevenson, Nakobe Dean, Azeez Ojulari, Nolan Smith. They're flashing. People haven't, and they're flashing in practice. They're already developing a reputation. This is probably the last time you and I will talk before the game itself. We should touch on Zamir just because everybody else has talked about Zamir a lot. How many carries do you think he's going to get?
For Zamir, I would like to think maybe somewhere 8 to 10.
Yeah. And lots of special teams.
Yeah, and especially if Swift is dealing with anything at all, then maybe even more. But I would guess 8 to 10.
You think Harrion will get more than Zamir?
Yeah, I would say so. I would, but I think it would probably be close. I guess they'd both be in that 8 to 12 range.
If Brian Harrion deserves more runs than Zamir, that's interesting because that either means Brian has got their trust on pass protection and or just stuff, or that Zamir is not what we thought he was watching him in high school. And I saw what he was. He was special. And it too could just be a matter of, hey, this guy's never played before. Let's not go crazy. So it could be all those things. But I'm telling you right now, he could do some stuff that I've just never. It's not been common for me to see. I know that. Not been common for me to see at all.
And I think they probably do want to ease his way into it because, I mean, remember, Zamir, this will be his college debut.
Right.
I mean, coming on.
Well, as soon as he got hurt last year, I said that's going to hurt them. That is going to hurt them. Y'all are going to see that's going to hurt them. It did hurt them. I mean, you he's a better back than Holyfield. And Holyfield was pretty good college back. And they would have had 4 guys that were legit running backs. And then you also had James Cook, who is a different type of running back, but a legit player too. It's gonna be interesting to see, man. I mean, did they learn a bunch of stuff this off season? Because this is an older offense. With the exception of like George Pickens and some of the wide receivers, this is an older offense. Did they learn a bunch of stuff during the offseason? Because who wasn't here in the spring? Pickens, Blaylock, and who? Some of the tight ends, I guess.
In the spring?
So the bulk of the offense. I mean, is Eli Wolf going to play a lot?
I think he might. I mean, because there are times when they use like a third tight end.
He's a small guy compared to those other tight ends, man. He's not big like that. They got some monsters at tight end, and he is not a monster. He looks like a wide receiver.
John Fitzpatrick is a big man.
Yeah, 6'6", he is. I think. He is. John Fitzpatrick has some serious length, man. He has legit length, no question.
Are you? Yeah. Oh no, a dog's just approaching me.
Oh.
Hey there, bud. He's cute. I know you're not a big dog fan, but I'm sure the rest of our followers are.
Just because you're a Georgia fan doesn't mean you have to like dogs. You have to like. My favorite dog is Uga. He's a wonderful creature. He chills out. Sometimes he wants to smell. Most of the time, he's a little bit warm. He's he likes to eat. You did a great story on him. I really should republish that. When did you write that? In the off season?
No, that got published before the SEC championship game. Yeah. I loved doing that story.
It was a great story, and we'll tell everybody about that just real quick. Give a 2-minute synopsis on, what he eats and all this stuff at the games.
Well, it started Friday because he usually comes in town Friday and does an event then. And so I went and watched him. This time he was just taking photos outside the bookstore. So I went and just watched him and how he interacted with people and how people interacted with him. And then I followed him Saturday from the time he arrived at the game, got escorted into the stadium, and then towards all the way after the game when they leave. And that was it.
What was it like? What was it like watching him eat that Chick-fil-A sandwich?
Well, he didn't actually eat a Chick-fil-A sandwich that day. He almost always does, but they went with a Five Guys patty that Saturday.
Oh. I would love to compare and contrast that whole deal. It was just a patty from Five Guys?
Yeah, they only gave him the patty that day.
That thing's wonderful. There's just nothing like that in college football. I mean, everybody has their own traditions, but there's nothing like that thing. Bevo has no personality. Same thing with Ralphie. The Syracuse mascot is a disaster. And people have other things. The Florida State where they do the thing into the midfield, that's pretty killer. When Florida State's good,
True.
That is pretty killer. Clemson running down the field. Let me say something. If you're late to the Clemson game, just don't go. I mean, the best part of the game is watching them run down the hill. It's a little overrated if we're being honest. I mean, they're just running down a hill, but they do a good job. They do a good job of like the aura of it all. I mean, those people love that thing, but Uga can't. I mean, Uga can barely run. I mean, he's like a.
Oh, it's so cute though.
He's like a 3 technique. He's out there setting the edge.
Nah, he's more like a 5 technique. He's in the middle of that shit.
Well, that guy. I remember he used to. He would attack the flag girls. He loved attacking the flag, and the band. And he would just go out there and go crazy with it. The older ones. Now this guy, this newer guy, he's pretty chilled out. He understands
Oh yeah,
he understands his
Q.
role. Yeah, Q. And that's what Charles Seiler calls him. He doesn't call him Uga. I mean
Yeah, no, he calls him by Q. He
it's
always
so
calls him by Q.
strange, man. It's because it's like he's just a dog. It feels like, but then when he puts that sweater on, people go crazy, and it's been this way forever. He is more famous than any Georgia player or coach or ever, because Uga can't lose. Uga can't disappoint you. He's just
He almost
chill.
lost. He almost lost in New Orleans.
He did. He, he
Just
definitely
saying.
did. He definitely did. But he escaped. Another.
Once again, that is one of the most iconic moments in Texas football history and kind of Georgia football history
Well,
too.
Georgia won't. It won't be iconic for Georgia because they didn't win the game. But for Texas, people will never forget that.
Yeah.
I say they'll never forget that. But think about Uga almost biting the guy at Auburn. I mean, there were so many things that at the cover Sports Illustrated, Robert Baker, the Auburn player, just him chilling out. He had a tuxedo sweater not that long ago. The thing is magical, and you just don't get that at other schools. I mean, I think North Carolina has a ram. I don't even know what that thing does or is. We got to step the mascot game up at North Carolina. And other places too. LSU used to have the tiger on the sideline. That was pretty badass. I'm not gonna lie, but
Yeah, it's a tiger.
But you can't pet a tiger. I mean, unless you want to lose your hand. All right, go to the website dawgpost.com, DAWGPOST.com. Dean Legge, Dylan Webber. We'll see you over there on the website.